We've considered factoring of a quadratic equation or expression in standard form. Let's see, in standard form would be x squared plus bx plus c. And we've considered it when both the middle term and the last term were positive. We've also looked at it when the middle term was negative and the last term was positive. Going back to if the middle term and the last term are positive, inside our factors are both going to be positives. If the last term is positive but the middle term is negative, then inside our factors we're going to have negative signs inside our factors. But this time we're considering when C is negative. And we're going to start the same way. We're going to, I'm going to do this over this way. We're going to draw our two parentheses. And once again, our lead coefficient of the leading term, the y squared, is 1. So we can just put y inside the parentheses. Now, in this case, we've got a negative number. It's actually negative 48. But remember now, if two numbers are multiplied together, which is what happens when we factor, and it's a negative number, well then one of those numbers must be a positive and the other must be a negative. So I'm just going to put a plus minus inside my parentheses. I know that one number's got to be positive, the other number's got to be negative. And so now I'm looking for two numbers, and again, if this visualization helps you, by all means use it. I don't always use it myself, but I know that it does help a lot of people. And I'm looking for two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 48 and are going to add to 13. Okay, well, 48 and 1, 24 and 2. Let's see, 3 goes into negative 48, 16. All right, so 16 times 3 is 48, and if 16 is positive and 3 is negative, that would be 16 minus 3, which would be 13. So my two factors are a positive 16 and a negative 3, and I'm just going to put that right inside my parentheses. Y plus 16 and y minus 3 are my two factors. Boom, shazam. Let's look at the second one. Here we got r squared minus 2r minus 24. And if you notice, go back to this first one, the absolute value of the number, and I'm looking for that, which is going to be positive. Once I found the two factors, then I'm looking at the absolute value of that number, and it would be, of course, positive 16 is 16. And the same thing is going to be true here on this r squared minus 2r minus 24. Again, I'm going to draw my two parentheses. I'm going to have an r to the left in the first one and an r to the left in the second one. R times r is r squared. Now, again, my C term, my last term, is a negative, which means I've got to have a positive and a negative inside my parentheses. And now I'm looking for two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 24 and are going to add to negative 2. So I got negative 24, negative 2. Well, let's go through the list. You may recognize it right off the bat. I hope you do. 24 and 1, of course, won't work. 12 and 2 is not going to work. 3 and 8 is not going to work. 4 and 6, 4 and 6. Now, which one would need to be negative and which one would be, because 4 and 6, 4 times 6 is 24. So which one needs to be negative and which one needs to be positive? Well, I'm trying to get to, when I add those together, to negative 2. And that would mean I need a negative 6 and a positive 4. And we're just going to pop that in our parentheses. Negative 6, positive 4, and shazam, there we go. We have factored these two quadratic expressions when my C term, my last term, is a negative. It's going to make it have a point. I've got a positive and negative inside my factor parentheses.